Hello everyone, welcome to HFY Beyond Terror. This channel is all about HFY and sci-fi stories, where humanity's underestimated and then proves...
Jace Rourke tugged at the cuffs of his Navy maintenance jacket and guided his utility cart down the mirror-bright corridor of Ethereum Conservatory, a private academy built for the Galactic Coalition's old money families. The place looked less like a school and more like a museum commissioned by gravity itself. Curved arches of alloy floated a handspan above the floor. Walls of translucent crystal caught the late sun and broke it into honeyed streaks. Everything gleamed, everything except the way people looked through him. Parents in jeweled robes and tailored exosuits drifted past without acknowledging the human pushing a mop. Students lowered their voices when he entered a room, their laughter snapping shut like a door. Jace had stopped taking it personally months ago. Not because he didn't feel it, because feeling it every day would make him bitter, and bitterness made him careless. He preferred the hours after dismissal. Quiet, predictable, just the soft hum of building systems and the rhythm of his hands doing a job that needed doing. Another glamorous shift, he muttered, turning toward the xenobiology wing. That was when he heard it. A sound so small it could have been a ventilation hiccup. A stifled whimper, then a shaky breath. Jace slowed, listened. Room 1-2B Specialized Lab. The door was cracked open, a thin wedge of light spilling into the dim hall. He approached, careful with his steps, and peered through. A child sat alone. In a hover chair that was far too advanced to belong in a classroom. She couldn't have been more than 8. Her skin was the pale teal of deep sea glass, almost luminous under the lab lights. Her hair white as frost fell in messy strands around her face. What caught him, though, wasn't her color or her chair. It was the streaks down her cheek, a violet gel that looked like medicine, thick and sticky. She tried to wipe it away. With her sleeve? Her hand shook, uncooperative, and she only smeared it farther. Frustration trembled in her mouth before it broke into a soft, angry sob. Jace hesitated exactly 1 heartbeat. Then he nudged the door open. "Hey," he said, keeping his voice gentle. "You're not supposed to be stuck with that on your face." The girl jolted like a startled animal, huge iridescent eyes widening. Fear flashed their fear of him, of being seen, of being touched. "It's okay," he added quickly, lifting both hands to show he carried nothing dangerous. "I work here. Maintenance. My name's Jace." She stared, assessing him the way kids do when adults assume they aren't paying attention. Jace reached into his cart, took out a clean microfiber cloth, and dampened it with purified water from his bottle. "Can I help? That looks like it itches." Her gaze flicked to the cloth, then back to his face. After a long moment, she gave a tiny nod. "I'm Erie," she said. Her voice had a musical lilt like someone had built a lullaby into her language. "Hi, Erie." Jace crouched so he wasn't towering over her. "This won't hurt, okay? I'll be careful." He wiped the gel away in slow, gentle strokes. The child flinched once, then relaxed, as if she'd been holding her breath for hours, and didn't realize it until she let it go. When he finished, her face was clean, her skin no longer smeared in purple. She touched her cheek with tentative fingers. "Better," she whispered, and the relief in that single word made something in Jace's chest tighten. "What is that stuff?" he asked. "Synapse paste," Erie said matter-of-factly, like she was describing a school subject. "It helps the pathways in my head and spine. But it burns." Jace's jaw ticked. "Yeah?" Whoever decided burning was acceptable should have to try it themselves. Erie blinked, then a small smile formed, cautious but real. "Mother says we don't complain about necessary discomfort. Your mother ever step on a shard of heat crystal?" Jace asked, deadpan. Erie's smile widened into a tiny giggle. He was about to say more when the door slid fully open with a smooth hiss. "Erie, the transport is—" The voice cut off. Jace turned. A woman stood in the doorway, tall and impossibly composed, her teal skin deeper and richer than her daughter's, shimmering faintly as she moved. Her eyes were gold with slit pupils, predatory not in cruelty, but in attention. She wore a fitted suit beneath a long coat, the kind of outfit that announced power without raising its voice. Jace recognized her immediately because the Coalition didn't let you forget names like hers. Seraphine Vera, chief executive of Vera Dynamics, widow, billionaire, and one of the most influential figures in this quadrant. Her gaze locked on him beside her child. "What are you doing with my daughter?" she asked. The words were calm, but the space around them felt suddenly sharp. Jace rose slowly, aware of how this looked. A human janitor close to the heiress of a corporate titan. "I was helping," he said. She had medical residue on her face. It was bothering her. "Mother." Erie piped up, excitement bubbling through fear like a spring. "This is Jace. He cleaned me." He wasn't afraid. Something flickered behind Seraphine's eyes, surprise, confusion, a hard-to-name emotion. That looked a lot like shame trying to disguise itself as caution. Her gaze moved from Erie's clean face to the cloth in Jace's hand. "I see," she said softly. "That was considerate." "Just being a person," Jace replied before he could stop himself. Seraphine's attention sharpened, as if she wasn't used to being spoken to that way. Then she masked it, smoothing her expression into something neutral. "Come, Irie, Dr. Halvik is waiting." She moved to the hover chair's handles. Her hands were elegant, steady hands that had signed treaties and fired executives. She guided her daughter toward the door. "Bye, Jace," Erie called over her shoulder. "Thank you." "Anytime, kid," he answered, and meant it. At the threshold, Seraphine paused, turned back, and looked at him again, really looked. "What is your full name?" Jace swallowed. "Jace Rourke." She nodded once, as if storing the syllables. "Somewhere secure. Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Rourke." Then she was gone, and the corridor felt emptier than it had a moment before. 3 days later, Jace was buffing the atrium floor when a voice crackled through his comm. "Rourke, report to my office." Principal Marn's tone was clipped, irritated his default setting. Jace frowned. In 6 months at Ethereum Conservatory, he'd never been summoned like that. He secured his equipment and headed to the administrative wing. The assistant waved him through without a word. Inside, Jace found Principal Marn an angular, multi-eyed Fedran standing stiffly behind his desk. And in the visitor's chair, legs crossed with effortless authority, sat Seraphine Vera. "Mr. Rourke," the principal said with a sudden, uncomfortable politeness. "Ms. Vera requested a private meeting. My office is at your disposal." Before Jace could reply, Marn practically fled, door sealing behind him. Seraphine's gold eyes pinned Jace in place. "Sit," she said not unkindly. "Please." Jace sat, posture straight from old habits. "Is Erie okay?" Seraphine's brow lifted. "Your first concern is her welfare." "Shouldn't it be?" The corner of her mouth hinted at a smile. "Erie is well. In fact, she has not stopped speaking about you. She calls you the human with steady hands." Jace snorted softly. "I've been called worse. I have researched you," Seraphine continued. "There is more to find than you might assume." Jace felt heat at the back of his neck. That's one way to spend an afternoon. "Former Coalition Marine," she said, voice precise. "Field medic certification. Multiple commendations for bravery during the Kestrel Front conflict." He exhaled through his nose. "Those records should be sealed." "Nothing is sealed if one pays the correct archivists," Seraphine said, not as a boast but as a fact. "And yet now you polish floors in an academy where most refuse to speak your name." Jace's hands tightened on his knees. War ends. People don't always land where they expect. Seraphine leaned forward. I have a proposition. I want to hire you as my daughter's personal caretaker. Jace blinked. I'm maintenance. Staff. You are a trained combat medic who showed more compassion in 5 minutes than I have witnessed from professionals in 5 years. Her gaze didn't flinch. And I am prepared to compensate you appropriately. She slid a datapad across the desk. Jace glanced down and his breath caught. The number on the contract might as well have been a small moon. That's excessive, he managed. It is proportional, Seraphine replied. You would reside at my estate, accompany Eri to treatments, assist with therapy, and if needed provide security. Security? Jace repeated. For a child? Seraphine's pause was brief, but he caught it. For the heir of Vera Dynamics. Corporate predators do not wait for adulthood. Jace studied her face. What does Eri think? That surprised her. Truly surprised her. You are the first candidate to ask, her voice softened. She demanded I hire you immediately. Her exact words were, Mother, you will bring the kind human home. Jace's expression cracked into a reluctant smile. She has good instincts. Seraphine's gaze lingered unreadable, searching. Do you accept? Jace thought of the child alone in the lab. Of the way she'd flinched like touch was a threat. Well, I'll accept, he said, on one condition. Seraphine's eyebrows rose. You place conditions on my offers? Call me Jace, he said. Mr. Rourke makes me feel like I'm about to be grounded. For half a second, amusement softened her. Very well, Jace. You may call me Seraphine E only in private. In public, decorum matters. Understood, Jace said, then added with deliberate innocence, Ma'am? Seraphine's eyes narrowed, not displeased. She stood, extending her hand in the human gesture with practiced accuracy. Jace took it. Her skin was cool. Smooth. The contact sparked something unexpected up his arm, like static finding a home. Seraphine's breath caught so quietly he almost imagined it. Tomorrow, she said, releasing his hand a fraction slower than necessary. When she left, Jace sat back, staring at the closed door. He had just agreed to live in the home of a woman powerful enough to reshape markets and start wars with a sentence. And for some reason, he was more nervous about Erie's smile than Seraphine's money. Seraphine's estate sprawled across a peninsula above Lake Meridian, where the water shone green as cut emerald. The architecture was a living blend of metal ribs and botanical wall structures grown rather than built. Jace arrived with one duffel bag. Everything he owned fit inside it. A thin, severe Threxian met him at the landing pad. Mr. Rourke, I am Vex, head of household staff. Follow. No greeting, no welcome, just cold efficiency. Inside, the mansion was breathtaking and strangely empty, grand rooms with no warmth, beauty without laughter. Vex stopped at a door. Your quarters, Ms. Vera and the young mistress are at a medical appointment. You will familiarize yourself with care. Protocols. Dinner is precisely at 1900. Do not be late. He handed Jace a datapad and glided away. Jace unpacked, then opened the medical file. He wished he hadn't. Synaptic degeneration syndrome, rare among Seraphine species. Progressive loss of motor pathway function. Experimental regeneration. Therapy with aggressive dosing. Side effects listed like an execution schedule. Pain, seizures, organ stress, cognitive fluctuations. No wonder the child had looked like she was fighting her own body. A soft chime sounded at his door. A small round alien with pale pink skin stepped in, balancing a tray with 4 hands. Name Pella, the alien said in halting standard. Kitchen staff, bring drink for human. The mug on the tray smelled unmistakably like coffee. Jace's eyebrows shot up. Coffee? Pella's face wrinkled in what might have been a smile. Humans like bitter bean water. Pella research, Jace laughed. Your research is excellent, thank you. Pella leaned closer, voice lowering. Warning, some staff hate human. Be careful what you eat if not from Pella or from Mistress. Vera, Jace's smile faded. They'd tamper with food? Not kill, Pella hurried, but make sick, make weak. Threxians especially dislike. Say humans smell wrong. That's rude, Jace said, though his eyes hardened. Pella shrugged with all four shoulders. Humans knew. Humans rise fast. Humans fight Shadowclaw invaders when others fail. Some jealous. Pella's people remember humans help free colony. Then Pella bowed and scurried away. Jace took a slow sip of coffee and filed the warning away with the rest of his old instincts. Hostility he could handle. If it touched Erie, he'd handle it differently. Dinner was formal, glowing dishware. Silent servants. Serafini at the head of the table like a queen who didn't want the crown. Erie in her hover chair, brightening. When she saw Jace as if he'd brought sunlight with him. I told Mother you'd come, she announced proudly. I figured I'd keep my job, Jace said, grinning. Servants placed plates carefully in front of Seraphine and Erie, then last. Of all in front of Jace with a little less care, a little more disdain. Jace ignored it and focused on Erie. How was treatment? Erie poked at her food. Tingly. Legs hurt even though they don't move. Phantom pain, Jace said, nodding. Could be a good sign. Means your pathways are still talking. Her eyes widened. Really? No one explains things. Across the table, Vex sniffed. Excess information makes juveniles anxious. Traditional care avoids it. And yet she's calmer now, Jace replied evenly. Because she knows she isn't helpless. Seraphine watched him, expression unreadable until the smallest nod acknowledged the point. Dessert arrived, something shimmering and delicate. Then Erie stiffened. Mother, she gasped. It's again, her body convulsed. The hover chair's stabilizers whined, struggling. Seizure, Jace barked, already moving. Call medical. Vex hesitated, looking to Seraphine. Now! Seraphine's voice cracked with fear. Jace eased Erie onto the floor, turning. Her to her side, keeping her airway clear. His hands moved with practiced calm, but his mind was a fast, cold engine. Her lips were tinting darker. Her regulator is overloading, he muttered. Dosage accumulation. Two physicians rushed in tall, spindly, eyes sharp with arrogance. Step aside, Galid snapped. This is beyond your primitive knowledge. Jace didn't move. She's oxygen starving. The dosage is calculated, the doctor insisted. For an average child, Jace shot back. Not for one with compromised metabolism. It's building up. The seizure worsened. A thin, metallic fluid leaked from Erie's nose. She's crashing, Jace said. We flush now. Protocol. Forbids? Jace looked straight at Seraphine. I need permission. Seraphine stared at her convulsing daughter, then at Jace's steady hands. Do it, she ordered. Jace demanded a neural stabilizer and a metabolic accelerant, administered both with the precision of someone who'd done it in mud under gunfire. Seconds crawled. Then Erie's convulsions slowed. Her breathing steadied. The doctors froze stunned. Seraphine's hand landed on Jace's armcool, trembling. Thank you, she whispered, raw gratitude stripping away her armor. Jace covered her hand briefly. She's a fighter. We adjust the protocol. We keep her safe. For a moment, their hands remained together, and something unspoken passed between them recognition. Maybe. Trust. Then Seraphine straightened like a woman who could not afford to fall apart in public. "We will discuss this," she said tightly, "after she is stable." Jace watched them wheel Erie away, his pulse racing for reasons that weren't only medical. 2 weeks later, Erie was well enough to attend the conservatory's benefactors gala, her first public appearance since her improvement began. Jace wore a tailored suit and felt like an imposter in clean fabric, escorting a child in a hover chair. Through a crowd of glittering power, Seraphine descended the Academy's grand staircase in a gown that seemed to catch starlight and hold it. Tiny luminescent points, real micro-constellations, twinkled in her hair. Jace forgot how to breathe. Seraphine's eyes warmed when they landed on him. "You are unexpectedly presentable, Mr. Rourke." "Jace," he corrected automatically. Erie giggled. "Mother notices you." Seraphine's cheeks darkened barely, but enough. The gala shifted when they entered. Heads turned, whispers rippled. A human at a billionaire's side, not as decoration, but as an equal, unsettled the room. A copper-skinned executive approached, smile sleek as a blade. "Miss Vera, delightful to see your daughter functioning." Something in Jace's instincts snarled. "Director Sorn," Seraphine greeted coolly. "This is Jace Rourke, my daughter's medical advisor." Sorn's gaze slid to Jace with thinly veiled disgust. "Ah, the human formerly employed as a cleaner. Combat medic," Jace said pleasantly. "Cleaning is just another kind of triage." Sorn's smile tightened. "How adaptable your species is." "Like survival depends on it," Jace replied. "I hear you'd know about survival, especially when it involves other people's research." A flicker of alarm crossed Sorn's eyes. Seraphine's posture sharpened. "Jace?" "Later," he murmured. Too many ears. Seraphine studied him, then nodded once. Across the room, a commotion erupted. Older students circling Erie, voices sharp with cruelty. Jace moved before he thought. A tall youth sneered. "Why are you here?" "Everyone knows your mother keeps you for sympathy points." Erie's voice was small but firm. "That's not true." "It is," another jeered. "Weak offspring get culled. It's tradition." Jace stepped into the circle like a storm front. "Problem?" The youth straightened. "This is none of your concern, human." "It is when you're bullying a child," Jace said, voice low, "and tradition isn't an excuse to be garbage." The youth bristled. "My father sits on the council." "Then he'll be thrilled to hear how his son behaves," Jace replied, calm and cold. "Want to introduce me?" The youth paled, then backed away, dragging his friends with him. Erie looked up at Jace, awe bright in her eyes. "No one ever stood up for me." "Get used to it," Jace said. "That's what family does." Across the room, one of the physicians, Dr. Halvik, watched them, expression unreadable. Jace's "Come" buzzed. Pella's voice came through, panicked. "Human Jace. Emergency. Dr. Halvik, add compound to young mistress drink." Pella see. Jace's blood turned to ice. He looked down. A server had just delivered Erie a sparkling blue beverage. She'd already taken a sip. "Yuri, don't." Jace knocked the glass from her hand. Liquid shattered across the floor. Guests gasped. Erie stared up, frightened. "What's wrong?" "Someone tampered with it," Jace said, already scanning her with the portable sensor he kept out of habit. The readout made his stomach drop. "Neural suppressant," he hissed. "Designed to trigger catastrophic seizure." He keyed his comm. "Pella, bring TX7 and stabilizer to me, now." He turned to the crowd. "Clear space. Medical emergency." Principal Marn blundered closer, distressed. "What is happening?" "Poisoning," Jace said bluntly. "Get Seraphine, now." "She's in a sealed board session, security." "Override it," Jace snapped. "Or you'll be explaining to the coalition why you let a child die." In your ballroom, Marn fled. Irie's breathing grew shallow. Her hands trembled. I feel funny, she whispered. Like before, worse. Jace crouched, meeting her eyes. Hey, you're not alone. Remember what humans are good at? She forced a weak smile. Being stubborn? Exactly, he said, injecting the antidote. I'm stubborn enough for both of us. Seraphine burst from the boardroom minutes later, fury radiating off her like heat. When she saw Irie struggling, she dropped to her knees beside them, control cracking. What happened? Halvik poisoned her drink, Jace said, and it's not just him. Behind Seraphine, Director Soren appeared too composed, too pleased beneath his mask of concern. Perhaps your human misunderstood. No misunderstanding, Jace said, rising to face him. I reviewed your late husband's research. The original protocol was functional. After his death, someone altered formulas, raised dosages, created toxicity cycles, ensured Irie would never improve. Seraphine went still. Is that true? I found timestamps, Jace said, voice carrying. Yet it's traced back to Director Soren's credentials and Halvik's. Soren's composure cracked. This is fabrication. The files don't lie, Jace said. And neither does the audio log on your husband's private server where he confronted Halvik about unauthorized access. Seraphine's eyes burned. I gave Jace full access. You've been trying to steal it for years. A new voice rang out, older, authoritative. The board vote is invalid. An elderly counselor stepped forward. Procedures require all members present. I was deliberately misinformed about the meeting time. I have reviewed the evidence. Security detained Director Soren. Soren's face twisted, then he lunged. He grabbed Irie, yanking her hoverchair close, and pressed a small device to her neck. Back, he snarled. Neural disruptor. One trigger and her spine is ash. The crowd screamed and stumbled away, leaving a wide, terrified circle. Seraphine's voice broke. Please, she's innocent. Innocent? Soren spat. She is the heir to everything I should have had. Jace's mind went cold and clear. Soren's hand trembled. His breathing was fast. Desperation made people sloppy. Jace raised his hand slightly. Okay, he said calmly. You want leverage. You have it. But you don't want to be a murderer, Soren. That label follows you across systems. Soren's eyes darted, calculating, panicking. Jace took a slow step closer. You know what humans are really good at? Stay back, Soren barked. Timing, Jace finished. Irie met Jace's gaze. Even frightened, even weak, she understood. She gave the tiniest nod. And then she bit Soren's hand. Hard. Soren yelped, grip loosening. Jace moved. One sharp strike to Soren's jaw, clean, efficient. The disruptor flew, clattering across the floor. Security swarmed, pinning Soren down. As he screamed, Jace lifted Irie back into her chair, scanning her quickly. You okay? Irie's eyes shone with fierce triumph. That was awesome. Team effort, Jace said, voice softening. You were brave. Seraphine approached, hands shaking. Now that she no longer had to pretend they weren't, she cupped Irie's face, then looked up at Jace. Her gold eyes held something new, trust forged under pressure. You saved her, she whispered. Again. I did my job, Jace said. Seraphine shook her head. No, you did more than a job. You fought for her as if she were yours. Jace swallowed, heart thudding. She is mine. In the ways that matter. Seraphine stared at him as if no one had ever spoken that kind of devotion into her life without wanting something in return. And for the first time, her power didn't feel like armor. It felt like a woman standing in the open. "The board will question us," she said quietly. "They will question you. They will question." This, Jace's gaze flicked to their hands still close, nearly touching. "Let them," he said. Seraphine stepped nearer, voice low. "When I first saw you wiping medicine from my daughter's face, I thought you were reckless." Jace huffed a laugh. "Fair. I was wrong," she continued. "You were kind, and that has proven rarer than wealth." The noise of the gala blurred. The world narrowed to a teal-blue woman with starlight in her hair and a child who finally looked like she could breathe. Seraphine lifted her hand, fingertips brushing Jace's cheek cool, steady. Then she rose onto her toes and kissed him, not hidden, not careful. A promise made in public. When they parted, Eerie beamed like she'd won a prize. "Finally," Jace laughed, breathless. "Kids got opinions," Seraphine's lips curved. "She is correct more often than I prefer." Eerie leaned back smug. Mother made the best decision of her life. Seraphine looked at Jace, at the human who had walked into a lab like he belonged there and treated her child like she mattered. "Yes," she said softly. "I did." Jace squeezed her hand once. "Then we keep choosing it, every day." Seraphine's golden eyes warmed. Every day. And for the first time since he'd stepped into the conservatory's shining halls, Jace Rourke didn't feel like a ghost. He felt like he'd been brought home.